Hello everyone, my name is Andrea. Happy holidays and welcome to my channel, Andrea's Kitchen Time. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my easy, quick, and delicious apple pie recipe. The ingredients are simple and can be found at your local grocery store. You're going to need 1 box of Pillsbury pie crust with 2 pie crusts, 4 Granny Smith apples, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and water mix, 1 egg, and 2 cups of water. Right here you could see that I started to peel my Granny Smith apples, and like most of my recipes, I enjoy doing the grunt work, the preparing of the ingredients, which is always relaxing, always fun. So I am peeling the first apple right here and making sure that I get all the skin off of it. If you find that once you've peeled the apple and you've cut it up in little pieces, which is what I'm going to start doing right here, there were just some brown spots. I don't like the brown spots on my apples, so I tend to cut them off. But once you've started cutting your apples in small pieces, like you see I'm doing here, if by any mistake you forgot to get one small piece of it, still has the skin, no worries. It'll cook down once you've started to steam and to cook your apples. So right here I am just finishing up. You can see I cut my apple slices in about 1/4 inch size. I don't want them too small because they're going to get very soft when you're cooking them. I wanted them to be nice and firm. And so that's the first one that I cut up. I didn't record the rest of them, but this is what it looked like once I finished peeling all my apples and cutting them up very nicely. Now right here I'm going to add my cinnamon to the apples. Like I said in my recipe, it calls for 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and there I'm adding the cinnamon to the apples in the bowl, and I'm just gonna add that and then start to mix it around to get it all incorporated with the apples. And I like to use Granny Smith apples because they're not so sweet. They're tart. And once you've added a little bit of sugar to it, it just brings out that tart flavor, makes it nice and delicious. Right here, I am getting into really mixing it around, making sure that all the pieces have a little bit of cinnamon. And right here, I'm going to add the tablespoon of lemon juice. That's a very important part of the process because that increases the level of tartness once you've started to cook your apples. And I just spread it around the bowl right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix it around. Very good. So right now we have done all the mixing that we're going to mix for now, and we're going to go ahead and put the apples in the pot. What I did was, instead of putting anything else in the bottom of the pot but water, I just put like a 1/2 cup of water in the bottom of the pot, and then I placed all the pieces of apple in it, and I'm just mixing it around right now, making sure that all the pieces are good. And right here I'm adding the 3/4 cups of sugar, brown sugar. I use the pale brown sugar because I know that once it starts to caramelize, it'll get darker, and the apples will be nicely coated and brown. One of the things that I didn't mention earlier was you could also use 2 tablespoons of melted butter, but what I did instead was I used 2 tablespoons of cooking oil, vegetable oil, in this recipe, and it worked out really well because what it did was I'm pouring it right here. What it did was it coated the apple and made it very nice and silky. And also, once I started cooking, and you're going to see this in a second, that the liquid in the pot, as it was becoming caramelized, the sugar and the apple juices, it had that beautiful translucent color. See what I mean? If you can look right there, you'll see the juices in the pot have that really nice sheen to it. And that was just, I think that was a stroke of luck, because I somehow forgot to get my my butter melted, and I was already in the process. So I just wanted to go ahead, keep it going, keep it moving, as we say. And I added the 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Right here, I'm adding another tablespoon of lemon juice to the recipe. And then I'm going to mix it all around. Before I started cooking, I started heating the pot on medium level, just so that when I put the apples in, it wouldn't take that long of a time to start to caramelize and get all the ingredients working together. And there it is. Once you look at that delicious juices, right? Those delicious juices right there with the apples and the sugar getting nice and caramelized. It is just gorgeous. And so this is what it looked like within, honestly, it took less than 10 minutes for the apples to cook halfway. And it's still a little liquidy, so I wanted to go ahead and add my cornstarch. And when you let cornstarch sit in water for a minute, it kind of firms up again. So you have to kind of mix it out to make sure that everything gets liquid again. Perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour that into my beautiful apples, because as you can look at them right now, you see that they're looking nice and shiny, and that liquid is just going to caramelize real quick. There it is. That looks so delicious, so delicious. You could honestly just stop right there and just eat that. You could just eat the filling as it is right there. It's a nice, delicious treat, and you could put ice cream on top of it if you wanted to. But here I'm showing you how the liquid is getting nice and caramelized. Do you see that? How it coats that the spoon, and how it just falls slowly off of the spoon. Looking very delicious, very delicious. And I'm going to go ahead here and just test my apples. And you don't want the apples to cook all the way through. You want them to just cook maybe halfway, because you're going to bake it again. And so you don't want your apples to come out really soft and mushy. So just making sure that it's halfway there is a very good thing to do before you turn your stove off. And right there, I'm checking it again. You can see how the fork has a hard time getting onto the apple. That's where you want it. And look how glossy and beautiful and shiny it looks. It looks so delicious, and it tasted great. Again, if you want to stop the process here and let it cool, you could have it with ice cream. So if you haven't been here before, please remember to go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell twice so that you don't miss any of my videos. Right here, I am starting the process of preparing the bowl with the pie crust. And like I mentioned earlier, the Pillsbury pie crust, it comes with 2 sets of pie crusts. And there, I'm just opening it up. What I did was earlier you saw that I was holding it and shaking it and it looked kind of flaccid going back and forth. That's the consistency that you want, because if you take it right out of the fridge, it tends to break up. So you want to take it out of the fridge for a good maybe 30-45 minutes, let it sit on your counter, and then it's easier to roll. There it is. It's so easy. This is one of the recipes where I swear you could cook this in less than 30 minutes. It is so easy to make. And so I'm rolling out the pie crust at the bottom. And then I'm just going to use my fingers and just kind of press it in the bottom, making sure that it's completely in. There are no air pockets there. And then I'm starting to crimp the sides of the pie crust. It is really easy. It's easy and it's fun, and it's one of those things that you can do, and when it's finished, it looks near professional and you put very little effort in it. So I really, really, really think this is a recipe that you could try for Thanksgiving, or you could try it for Christmas. It's a really nice idea. Okay, so again, I'm making sure that there are no air pockets in it. So I got my fork and I stuck it into the bottom of the pie crust 3 times. And you want to make sure that the fork goes all the way in. There it is. 3 indentations. Great. So now you're ready to put your filling in. And I was so busy yesterday that I made the filling and I put it down to cool. You want to always make sure it's cooled, and I've put it in a container to the left of the screen, so you can see that right there, that it's just ready and raring to go. Right here, I am taking out the top of the pie crust. That's where we're going to do that fancy lattice work, but it really isn't hard. It looks fancy and whatnot, but it's not hard at all. And it's the same principle. You want to make sure that the crust is out of the fridge so that it rolls very easily onto your cutting board or your baking sheet that I'm using here. And I picked up the big knife first. And I tried to cut the strips from it, but it just seemed so cumbersome. So I went ahead and I used a smaller knife. And when you're cutting, I know that there are the professional folks who get their baking measuring instrument, and they'll measure it to make it a perfect inch. We're home cooks, and we do this because we love to cook and we love to eat. So what I did was I just measured it by looking at it. We know what an inch looks like for the most part. So if you make a mistake and one is too thin or one is too thick, it's perfectly fine. Again, we're home cooks, and we do this because we love to cook, and each time you cook something, you learn how to do it better, and it's just the process. But right here, I am making sure that the strips are a solid 1 inch apart. And it's going through very easily because, again, we had taken out the pie crust from the fridge and had it on the counter for a few minutes. So it's pliable and it's very easy to cut. Very good. So now that's finished, you want to go ahead and make sure that you have enough pieces. So I went ahead and I got about 10 strips out of that pie crust. And right here, I'm just going ahead and I am opening the container, and I'm going to put the filling for the pie inside of it, and making sure that I got everything. We don't want to keep too much of the juices, so what I did was I put the pieces in, and they had some juices on them from the caramelized sugar, and of course the juices coming from the apple themselves. So what I'm doing here is I am making sure that the filling for the pie is evened out, making sure that there are no pieces that are sticking up, as much as I can make sure that everything is just leveled in the baking container. And right here, I'm going to go ahead and just moisten the edges of the pie crust in preparation for the lattice work. And this is probably the easiest part of this entire baking process. It's so relaxing too. I keep telling you all that I find baking and cooking to be so relaxing, and it really is. It's like you're an artist making a huge production, but it's fun, and for this recipe, it's very easy to do. Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and start placing the lattice over onto the top of the baking container. And so you just place the pieces that are closest in length. So at the left side of it, you start off with maybe the second strip. And then you just keep placing the strips as they're fitting across the 9-inch baking container. And the next one I got was a little too long. So what I did was I just replaced it and placed one that was more in more to the size of the baking bowl, the pie bowl. And it's not perfect, and you just have fun with it and just eyeball it to see which strips are better suited for what part of the pie. And then, I like to straighten it up just to make sure that there are even spaces in between each of these strips. So now we're going to get ready. I'm going to fix my camera. We're just beginning the lattice work. And this is the fun part. It's all fun. It's all fun. But if you can see, what I did was I folded two of the center pieces. Then I placed one of the strips right across. Then I straightened it up a little bit. Then I lifted the first, the third, and the fourth strip and placed another strip across. And now I'm just bringing all the strips down so that we have the second vertical strip, and then we're going in for number 3. And then you just keep doing it, layering it like that. And there it is, the third one, vertical. And you just put those 2 down and you just keep going. And isn't that fun? That looks like so much fun, and it was fun doing it. I ended up making 3 pies, so I really had a really good time making them. And now that the lattice is finished, what I went ahead and did was, now for the professionals, they'll go ahead with a kitchen scissors and they'll cut the edges, but I like to have the nice thick crust so that I can cut into it when I'm having a nice slice of pie. And so what I did was to crimp the edges for the lattice work onto the bottom piece of the pie crust that we had used our brush to get some water on. And there, look at that. It's so beautiful and professional looking. And to think it was so easy. It is really easy to make. You can crimp it as fancy as you like. You know, it's really easy. And there you have it. I'm just wrapping it up with 2 more crimps, and there it is. Wow, that was so much fun. And you can see that the sizes are not perfect. That is perfectly fine. And that's what it looks like right before we did our egg wash. And I like to do the egg wash on there because it gives it that beautiful brown color and it just glistens. Right here, I cracked an egg and placed a 1/3 cup of water in it and then just mixed it around real easy like. And that's going to be what we use as our egg wash for the top of the pie. And like I said before, it does give it that rich brown glistening color, just ready for any cookbook. And it's just home cooking, just really easy and affordable home cooking. And there, I think the wash is perfectly ready. And now I've dipped my brush into it and just went over the pie and just brushed it off a little at a time around the edges and on the lattice work. And it's like you're doing a nice painting. It's really easy and fun. I can't say that enough because it really is. That is so good. And you just go each lattice by lattice and then you do the edges. You know, take your time and just kind of enjoy the process. There it is. And one of the things I would recommend too is making sure that, you know, you can find inexpensive kitchen tools, but it's really helpful to have the right tools. Right here, I am just finishing up the wash, the egg wash, and then there you are. There's my pie getting ready to go in, and you can see how it glistens right as I'm putting it in the oven. There it is in the middle of the baking process, and this is what it looks like when it's all done. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you do try this recipe. It's easy and delicious apple pie. Bye now, and thank you so much for watching.